Keep your back straight as much as you can. Let your hands rest on your lap or wherever they are comfortable, allowing your shoulders to relax. And then gently close your eyes. Let's take a few moments to be aware of the surrounding. Feel the energy of the space. Be aware of the lighting, the temperature. Different sounds that come within the space. The sounds come from outside. Now take a few deep breaths. Breathe in deeply and breathe out softly. As you breathe in and breathe out, allow your body to relax and allow your mind to calm. Scan through your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, noticing all the feelings, sensations. Notice where you feel stress, tightness, tenderness. Breathe into those areas. Check your posture. If it's not comfortable, you may adjust it any time during the practice. With that deep awareness about your surrounding and about yourself, let's begin our practice with loving kindness. As always, Let's begin with ourselves, thinking thus: may I be healthy, may I be content, and may I be peaceful. May I be healthy, may I be content, and may I be peaceful. You may choose your own words. The most important thing is take this time to deeply connect with yourself. Fill your heart with loving, kind, and caring thoughts. We spend hours, days, weeks, months, and years attending to responsibilities, taking care of other businesses, people. So this few minutes is yours. Recognize your struggles, your difficulties, limitations. These could be physiological, psychological in nature. May I be healthy, may I be content, and may I be peaceful. Experience peace and relaxation within. I am healthy. I am content. And I am peaceful. Now let's share these loving, kind, and positive thoughts with our loved ones. Think about your friends, your family members. May they also be healthy, be content, and be peaceful. Our parents, children, spouses, grandparents, grandchildren. Think about them individually by names. If you can think of someone goes through a difficult time, a situation, think of that person, share your loving, kind, and positive energy with that person. May my loved ones be healthy, be content, and be peaceful. Now extending these positive thoughts towards the whole world. Think of all living beings, humans, non-humans, all the creatures. May they also be healthy, be content, and be peaceful. Keep an open heart. Be mindful of your judgments. Include everybody, even most difficult personalities in your life. There is so much suffering in the world due to many reasons, many conditions, hunger, wars, different diseases, lack of empathy, kindness, lack of understanding, miscommunication. So learn to be kind. May all living beings free from anger, fear, hatred, and all the physical and mental suffering. time to time, check your posture, check your neck, check your back, check your shoulders. Keep your body relaxed and comfortable. Now gently bring your attention onto your breath. Try to maintain your focus between your nostrils and upper lip if you can. And then as you inhale and exhale, be mindful of each breath. Without manipulating your breath, without being forceful, and allow that natural rhythmic breathing patterns to take place. And then as each breath, just gently remind yourself, in breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. The purpose of this particular practice is to be in the present moment. So each time when you connect with your breath, you connect with the moment. understand the nature of your mind. It constantly gets distracted, different thoughts, physical pain, sensations, emotions. So each time when you recognize that your mind been distracted, just simply bring your mind back to breath. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. Make a strong determination to keep your practice every day Take a few minutes a day to be kind to yourself, be compassionate, and be kind to others, and share it with the world. And learn to be mindful, apply to day-to-day life. When you take a walk, when you do dishes, when you're on the road, at work, when you are standing in line to check out your stuff at the grocery store. Be mindful. Observe your thoughts, your emotions. Be aware of your words, actions, reactions. Allow your practice to guide you to improve the quality of the relationship that you have with yourself and with the world. Now, as you keep your eyes closed, please bring your palms together, closer to your heart. And as you are listening to this brief chanting, they've been chanted for thousands of years by so many teachers all around the world. Think of all the good deeds that you have done in your life and bring all those things to this moment and allow those positive energy to become a really good vibrations to heal you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And through the power of these blessings, may no harm come to you, may no difficulties come to you, may you always find peace and joy. Abhivadana silissa Niccang vaddapacayino Cattaro dhamma vaddanti Ayuvanno sukhang balang Ayurarogya sampatti Sangha sampatti me vaca Ato nibbana sampatti Iminate samijjatu. May peace be with you. May you be healthy. May you be content. And may you be peaceful. Thank you very much. You may open eyes. Good morning, everybody. I know the progression of things, how it goes here is a little bit different, so today we're going to do things a little bit differently. So glad you are here. Thank you for coming. I'm glad to be here. Do you have any questions? When they first asked me to do the meditation here today and ask me for a topic, I I'm not really good with following a topic and giving really talks. I can talk, but I'm not really good at following a topic. I get distracted. So if you have any questions, and I can certainly answer any questions if you have. If not, I can always come up with something to speak about. Oh, hi, Jason.
I know you're working now at a mental hospital, is that correct?
That's correct.
How has that affected your view on you're working with people who have a lot of mental difficulties?
Right.
And Buddhism it's a science of the mind. What do you see there? What do you see with people's minds that they're obviously they have a lot of difficulties? Is there
Right.
What is your practice?
So it's a great question. I think we all are mental health is a spectrum, and we all have that a little bit in all of us. And one commentaries that I like in Buddhist, one of the books that comes up in Pali is that it says Sabbe Putujjana Ummattaka. So every person has some sort of a psychological issue that they deal with. And it's different from person to person. Obviously, as a psychiatric nurse where I work, and those individuals tend to have, they're in a crisis situations. And so we stabilize them and we send them back to the society. Oh, hi, Ben. I didn't recognize you. Hi. Sorry. I'm sorry. So, anyway, so we all struggle with some sort of difficulties. And obviously, when somebody come to a meditation, and the reason behind it that people obviously feel that there is certain things that they can improve with their psychological processes that they deal with. And, the most common things are stresses, anxieties, depression, and when we ignore these things and it come to a point where that people, some people rather than finding healthy choices to actually find solutions for those things, and they adopt really negative practices. The most common things that you find, for example, let's say if you're someone who struggles to sleep, and a lot of people that I deal with, they very commonly they use alcohol, for example, and that is alcohol itself a depressant, and we really, even though it knocks you out for a couple hours, and you're going to obviously wake up from it, and then you have to deal with hangover and all that stuff a little later. Anyway, but when you keep doing it, that affects your life drastically. Not only your physical health, it also affects your mental health, because mind and body is work together, and that also affects your surrounding and your families And so there are so many people get affected by it. And so one of the things about with what I do is that I see that different people come there for different reasons, and some people is there just briefly because, they had some sort of fallout. And some people, they need very long-term help. And so what I see there is that when we deal with healthy brains, and a lot of these individuals can really take time to recover, heal themselves by practicing certain things, and they can find themselves, and some are not able to find themselves, and so they need a little bit more help. And some people need to be institutionalized. And so it is what it is. And so in my job, I have so many different experiences, and where that some people get help they need very quickly, and then we stabilize them and they go back to their, regular life, but they have to find themselves. And I think one of the things about practicing mindfulness, loving kindness, going to church, and having a spiritual life, because we are talking about in the context of spirituality, is that allows you to just find yourself and to work through some of the issues that you work with. And I think it's a good question, but it's a very complicated question. But
Okay. Now, you continue to use the word self.
right,
But in Buddhism, there is no self.
that's right.
I'm just being difficult.
No, you're fine. You can be.
How do you incorporate that?
So yes, that's a good question. In Buddhist teachings, that we do not talk about a soul, which is that there is something exists that permanently exists, because we talk about impermanence. And when we talk about impermanence, it does not allow us to, there is no ground to stand for us to say that there is a self exist. However, the Buddha never denies that there is this idea of self that we continue to develop, and it's continuously change. We build this self, person, me, San, as I go along with, as my experience changes, my self change. And so it's a continuation of that journey, and I am not the same person that used to teach meditation 12, 15 years ago in the basement. Myself has changed. So it's okay to call yourself self, but it is, what goes wrong is when we identify it as something that permanent. That's where the biggest struggles come from, and that's where people suffer, because then we get attached to that identity, and that creates a whole lot of suffering, because then what we try to do is to hold on to that self rather than go along with the changes that happens, and that itself become a struggle, which cause a lot of suffering. Does that make sense? Yeah. Good question. Yes. Oh, Jim. Hi. Hi.
From my reading in neuroscience,
Uh-huh.
many scientists are saying, on the same topic of the self, that our brain simulates this idea, like you say, of
Mm-hmm.
the self, which helps us in society,
Right.
reproducing, and it's kind of an evolutionary thing, but it's still just a simulation. And it really, in reality, doesn't exist.
Right.
But it's a very useful illusion. And this is interesting because it overlaps with what Buddhism discovered 2,000 years ago.
Right.
Which is what makes Buddhism so interesting. But what I wanted to ask you was a question that is on the same topic. And that is, you think that the brain, the stuff between our ears, this material, do you think that produces a mind?
Does the brain produce a mind? Oh gosh, I don't know. Well, I think they are actually going away from that idea, Jim. The newest studies actually, because they used to say the mind is a byproduct of the brain, and now the newest studies that they are suggesting, they are trying to kind of navigate away from that whole idea, rather than recognizing. But it is it goes hands in hand. Definitely when we improve our brain chemistry, when we work with our neurological processes, and it really improves our quality of life, and it does change the way we look at things. This is something that they are trying to do with someone who has depression, and the medications that they develop, and certain medication really improve the certain brain functions, neuroplasticity, and it takes a little bit of time that certain regions of the brains to improve, so people way of thinking changes over the period of time. And so the thing about that is that we can't really isolate those two and talk about it, because in order for us to improve the physiological aspect of life, that psychological aspect is really important, because that's how we change our thought process. By changing the psychological processes, we can change our behaviors. And that help us to improve the physiological aspect of life. And so I think that I read something recently that actually the scientists are trying to go away from that whole idea that they believed. I think they started in late 80s, right? That it's a byproduct of the brain. But I was told that I read something that actually they are trying to see that they work together to improve each other aspects. So,
if I might interject something here, Western philosophy, we use the word epiphenomena for something that hovers above thing. And what you're talking about, Bhante, is precisely that it used to be that the consciousness was seen as an epiphenomenon over the brain, so that the brain somehow, quote, causes it, whatever.
right.
And Wittgenstein pointed out, another philosopher pointed out that you're talking two different language games. And that in the one case you can talk about cause and effect, like a billiard ball being hit by another billiard ball. And that would be like a physical way of looking at it. But the mind doesn't always follow that path. In fact, the mind in some way organizes cause and effect. So the two aren't always going to mesh up nicely, because you're talking two different language games. Does that help?
All I got was that I was kind of knew what I was talking about. Yes.
So you were talking about the connection between mind and body.
Right.
So I am actually personally struggling
Right.
perfect for me. When I walked in, I connected with him. I was able to let go of every thought.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very internalized. I felt very connected. But I have a heavy heart. How do you disassociate and associate the two? So mindfully, I feel content. I feel wonderful. But my heart is heavy, no attachment, no emotion that I'm attached to. How would you associate and disassociate those two?
So your heart feel heavy because you.
I'm not sure. I don't know how to explain that, but the conversation that is here is wonderful. But I'm just trying to think of how do you disconnect the two. I don't know how I'm trying to ask the question.
Anybody?
I was going to say help.
Ben.
Like Buddhism, heart mouth, chitta, it's the same thing. So your heart's really heavy, and it lasts for a really long time. But mine is a little bit higher level, or a little bit more. If you were talking about continuum, mental health being a continuum, Gabriel Mate, you know probably Gabriel Mate. Gabriel Mate, the scientist Gabriel Mate.
Okay.
Well, you don't, so it's okay. But he talked about that specifically, mental health being on a continuum. And I don't know if it's true, speaking of, he said that between the mind and the brain, the mind was ours for at least 100 years. Kind of is the brain, but the heart is something that holds in Buddhism, the heart mind. In Tai Chi, they would say that the heart mind, the sync to the Dhamma, that was the whole of it. So if you think of your mind going down with those good thoughts down into your heart, then you're kind of washing your heart, your own heart, with those good thoughts. So your mind knows where your heart is, and you know that for yourself. So this is the way to try to use that mind, like those intentions, to skillfully kind of wash your own heart, and it goes to your own heart. But using that practice starts with yourself.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
If I can interject, I think it also has to do with the idea that we try to intellectualize our emotions,
Right.
right? So a big part of a very simple Buddhist practice with meditation is us recognizing that we have an emotion. You know, I always say to my teenage daughter, you can have those emotions because guess what? You can't stop them. They're going to come flooding in all the time, whether you want them or not. But you get to pause for a moment and say, do I want to feel this way? Do I want to get caught up in this? Is this healthy for me? So I always say it's like intellectualizing your emotion. So they're the same thing because they're all part of you, but our brain wants to feel like they're separate, right? So I can intellectualize away any emotion, which is really not healthy for me, right? I can shove it into a pocket, pretend like it doesn't exist, but long term that kind of creeps up on me because I think
Mm-hmm.
the real goal is for them to exist together
Right.
and us not allowing ourselves to be controlled by one or the other, but finding a balance between them,
Right.
right?
Very good. Very good. Anybody wants to add anything? I think it's probably a good point because you said you have you struggle with anxiety. We all do. We all go through anxiety. Anxiety is a very common thing, and it's there for a reason. And however, what happens with anxiety is that over the period of time, rather than anxiety letting it to be a positive impact, and it's become a negative impact because we are still, I think one of the biggest issue now they are talking about this, the whole notion of trauma that humans deals with is that we have this so much anxiety and we don't know how to turn it off. And this is just the fight and flight mode, and it's always on. On the road, it's on. On the plane, it's on. We are freaking out about, probably I shouldn't say that word on because they are recording. We are just, continue to the fear, anger, frustrations, and, and we continue to, go through these, cycles. And I think it's really not really help us. And so this is where the Buddhism is a unique, has a unique place in this, is because it allows you to come out of that mode and actually just sit outside of yourself and sort of watch you. And maybe that's where you feel that heart is actually heavy. Maybe it's always heavy. You're just starting to notice it. And, one of the things that happens to a lot of people is that when a lot of things going on, we are masking it and we forget what's happening. And when you are in a panic attack, if you ever had been a panic attack, what's the first thing they tell you? Breathe, breathe, breathe. It brings you to the moment. And what happens that when we get busy with family, jobs, with all the responsibilities that we have, we kind of get lost in it. And Buddha says this in one word. He says there are a lot of avijja, meaning that we have a lot of ignorance about ourselves. It's not that we are stupid, that we don't understand how our body works. We don't understand how our mind works. And when we are lost in it, and we create a lot of suffering for ourselves. And why Buddhist teachings is unique is that it allows you to step outside of that cyclical thing and to think for yourself and to take control over your emotions, take control over your thought processes, and to own it. So the fear goes away and you're able to accomplish your goals. I'll stop after this example. I was going into driving school to get my CDL license. That was my bucket list things, right? So, you know how when you drive a truck, when you turn left, it goes right. My brain could not follow that. And a lady instructor, I was trying and I was failing miserably and they were frustrated. I'm hitting all the cones and this thing is going everywhere. And she got into the other side and said, "San, own it." And until that, I was so focused on getting this box on to this, 2-lane thing. And I was so focused on, and I forgot who I am as a person. And I forgot why I am getting this. This is supposed to be something beautiful because it's a bucket list thing. It wasn't I was going to go across the country to drive a semi. And I have forgotten it. And that's what happens a lot of time in life. And we forget who we are, we forget why we are here, we forget why we started, what we are doing, and it just become a maintaining thing. And that push us to every day to be in that fight and flight mode. And so when we practice loving kindness, mindfulness, it brings us that gentleness. It brings you to the moment. It brings you to recognize your frustrations, your vulnerabilities, and to say that this is what I'm dealing with now, and I am going to, deal with it. And I'm going to make the right choices rather than fighting with it all the time or running away from it. That stops that whole cycle. And when that stops, that's what in Buddhist teachings we call enlightenment. So you have so many enlightened moments. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for being here. Rebecca?